I'm Dr. Horton. Your mother called.
Dr. Horton, you're too late.
Like sands through the hours, so are the days of our lives. Days of Our Lives, a new dramatic serial starring MacDonald Carey.
I asked you to leave, Dr. Horton.
Carl was my patient, Mrs. Sawyer. I'd like to go upstairs.
The other doctor's already been here. It's all over, Dr. Horton.
What kind of doctor are you? My father is dead, Doctor. He's dead because you didn't answer our call.
I'm sorry. I told you I was unavoidably detained.
And my father is avoidably dead.
Mrs. Sawyer, I have to go up and see you.
It's out of his hands, Mama. It's out of everybody's hands. Just get him out of here.
Jeannie, he feels terrible. You can see it on his face.
Mama, this is one time I'm not going to let you turn the other cheek. If he'd done his duty as a doctor... Oh, Mr. Ferguson.
My wife told me.
Come in.
He was doing so well. It all happened so suddenly. There were the shooting pains. I called the doctor.
We called Dr. Horton immediately. Your friend, Dr. Horton.
Shh, Jeannie.
Well, isn't that Tom Horton's car outside? Is he here now?
Yes. It took him 3 hours to get here, Mr. Ferguson. If he'd come right over, this never would have happened.
How can you know that, Jeannie? Please.
Because the other doctor, Dr. Fell, came over right after I called emergency. He told me so. That's how I know.
Dr. Fell from University Hospital.
Yes. When you never showed up, and my father was dying, I finally called the hospital. Dr. Fell was shocked. Absolutely shocked.
I would have come immediately. I explained I was detained.
Gee.
All right. All right, Ellen, I understand how she feels.
Was it the ulcer? Heart? What happened?
Hemorrhage. Massive. Has anything been done about the arrangements?
That's why I came over. I just got home. Sally told me.
And you recommended Dr. Horton to my father.
Jean, please don't start to blame Mr. Ferguson. He's our friend.
And Dr. Horton is a fine physician.
Thank you, Dr. Horton. Goodbye.
If anything is needed, I'll be at home. Is there anything I can do now to help?
I think that Carl had a policy with the lodge, didn't he?
Yes. They'll take care of everything.
Mrs. Sawyer.
If there's anything I can do, Mrs. Sawyer. Jean?
Mama, maybe you should go next door with Mr. Ferguson. I'll wait till he comes.
No. I want to be here. We'll make sure of the arrangements. Then we'll set the funeral date.
Oh, Mama, not now. Now, don't think about that now. Mr. Ferguson?
Yes, Jean.
This is like murder, isn't it? I mean, you're a lawyer. You know about such things. It was like murder, wasn't it?
Jane.
They have ethics, codes, don't they? Doesn't a doctor have a duty under the law to his patients?
I don't think I understand you, Jane.
Just because of Dr. Horton's reputation, we can't ignore cold facts.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about Dr. Horton. What he's done is criminal. He is responsible for my father's death. Well, what do we do now, Mr. Ferguson?
Well, the arrangements are already made for Thursday. I'm sure the lodge has all the necessary paperwork in order. The chapel is set. I can arrange for a newspaper announcement if you wish.
Yes. Carl has so many friends. They'd want to be here, I'm sure.
Except for matters of the estate, I'd say that was all for the time being.
Thank you, Mr. Ferguson. We do appreciate your thoughtfulness.
Carl will be missed, Mrs. Sawyer. I just want you to know that we'll all miss him.
Thank you, Mr. Ferguson.
He was more than a neighbor. He was a friend. And if anything I can do to make the burden a little lighter, please let me know.
I'll go upstairs and tidy up.
Mama. Not now.
Please, Jean. I have to keep busy. You know that?
All right, Mama. But just call if you need any help.
Doing very well under the circumstances.
She's strong. Old-fashioned strong. She gave my father everything. That's how she is. Kind. And forgiving. Sometimes too kind, too forgiving. She's even willing to excuse Dr. Horton.
To excuse Dr. Horton?
He was responsible for my father's death, don't you agree?
Jane, I realize that you're very upset, but I'd get that out of my head if I were you.
I can't. I'm sorry. I just keep remembering what happened. If he'd come on time, my father might still be alive.
You don't know that.
But we can find out. Can't we?
What are you talking about?
An autopsy. Can't they do an autopsy and find out the exact cause of death?
I suppose so.
Can you order an autopsy, Mr. Ferguson?
Well, it can be done, but what do you gain?
You were my father's lawyer. You helped him for many years. Now I want you to help us.
Well, of course.
I want an autopsy performed. Papa counted on you. Now I'm counting on you.
I don't understand. It's a very serious matter to order an autopsy.
I'm very serious. I want you to arrange it, Mr. Ferguson. I want some facts.
Facts?
I say that Dr. Horton is responsible for my father's death. An autopsy is the first step as far as I can see. Will you please order an autopsy as our attorney?
Well,
Now, if you don't want to be our attorney, I'll understand that. But I trust you, Mr. Ferguson, just as my father trusted you. Please, order this autopsy.
Very well, if that's what you want.
Thank you. I'll be most interested in the result. I just wonder whether or not my father's life might have been saved if Dr. Horton had gotten here on time. An autopsy might tell us that. Don't you agree?
It might. Yes, it very well might.
to stop by the hospital. He just called from there. Should be home any moment.
She's breathing easier.
Is there anything I can do?
No, dear. Why don't you go to bed?
I think I'll wait for Dad. Hey, do you want some tea?
I'm fine.
Dad? What's wrong?
Where's your mother, Mickey?
She's upstairs with Marie.
How is she?
Well, I was just up there. I think she's resting more easily. You going up now?
Your mother's with her now. She'll be all right for a minute. Come on in here, will you?
What is it, Dad? You look like you've been through a ringer. What's happened?
I lost him. Carl Sawyer. I was too late.
Oh, no.
They finally called emergency. It was a perforated ulcer, massive hemorrhage. It was all over by the time I got there.
Dad, you couldn't help that.
Mickey, with a known ulcer, with Carl Sawyer's history of anxiety and drinking, I might have been able to save him. It could have been routine if I'd been there sooner.
Dad, are you blaming yourself?
No, not completely. Sawyer family is very upset.
But, Dad, you couldn't have been there any sooner. We went upstairs and found Marie on the floor. For heaven's sake, they've got to understand that.
No.
Your daughter, Dad, you saved her life tonight.
Mickey, couldn't tell them that.
Oh, you didn't explain?
Of course not. I couldn't have that to Marie. I wouldn't. Use your head, Mickey.
Oh. Oh, Dad, I'm sorry.
Alan Ferguson arrived when I was there. He lives right next door. He's with them now. I hope he's calmed them down. It was pretty bad, Mickey. I never had to face anything like that before.
Well, Dad, maybe you should have explained.
Mickey, let's get one thing straight. Never, under any circumstances, must anyone know that Marie was near death tonight.
I understand, Dad, but still, a quiet explanation in confidence would...
Mickey, the Sawyer girl works at the bank. Mrs. Sawyer has many friends. Alan Ferguson is one of the more active members of the bar in Salem. It'd be terrible.
Yeah.
Do you know, Mickey? Do you know what this would mean to Marie if anyone knew? The humiliation, depression. It could drive her to try it again. Whatever we do, Mickey, we've got to protect Marie. We've got to keep her from this until she's able to face things.
Home?
Alice, you should be asleep.
No. She's breathing heavier. I think she's uncomfortable.
Oh, I'll go up and check on her.
I forgot to ask about Mr. Sawyer. He's all right, isn't he? Sawyer?
But, Mom, you just can't worry about this thing. After all, you're a doctor's wife, and you faced this sort of thing before.
Yes. Yes, I am a doctor's wife, and I have a responsibility, too.
Now, the ulcer perforated. Dad couldn't do anything about it.
Mrs. Sawyer made an emergency call to this house, and I didn't deliver the message. Your husband's dead.
Mom, after all, we had our own emergency right here tonight. Dad saved Marie's life.
I remember her voice, Mickey. I can't forget it.
Mom, you didn't just forget to give Dad that message. There's more to it than that.
Your father didn't even know that Carl Sawyer was dying because I didn't deliver a message. I answered the telephone. There's no excuse.
Mom, when you went upstairs and saw Marie lying on that bed, everything else became secondary to you. You're her mother. It was a normal reaction.
No, it isn't.
Mom.
There's no excuse.
Mom, you're being unfair to yourself. Mom, anyone else in that situation would have done exactly the same thing.
Patients have called here for years. I've never done this before. Year after year, and this was an emergency.
Mom, I'm trying to tell you something. There was an emergency, our own emergency, right here tonight.
We've had emergencies before.
But never like this. Mom, don't blame yourself. Dad is not the only doctor in town.
But Mrs. Sawyer called your father. He is their family doctor.
Mom, please, go upstairs and try to get some sleep. There's just been too much for one night.
I'll be all right. Your father. What did he say? How did he take it?
How do you know, Dad?
I know your father.
He couldn't explain the reason for his delay. He just let them blame him.
Oh, yes. He mustn't tell anybody about Marie. No one must know.
Sure, Mom.
He mustn't tell Marie about Carl Sawyer's death.
I agree. Oh, Mom. Look, you really ought to go up and go to bed. You're exhausted.
Never be just fine.
Of course you will. You worried us for a while, but everything's going right back to normal.
Normal?
Blood pressure, heartbeat, respiration.
Please, Dad, just leave me alone.
You're pretty important to me, darling. I couldn't do that.
Tony. Why did he do it?
Darling, please.
We had such plans. I'll never hope again. Never again.
Doctor's orders. Rest, food, peaceful thoughts.
Close your door.
No, you should be asleep. Darling. Surrounded by people that love you.
I don't want to see anyone.
Darling, how about something cold to drink? Lemonade, some cider? How about that, darling?
Fine.
Why did he do it?
Marie, we hurt with you, darling.
Either of you. Just wanted it to be over.
No, you didn't, Marie.
Marie, you're a young girl. You have wonderful years ahead of you. I know life can seem terribly cruel, that things happen sometimes with no apparent reason. Heaven knows you've had your share of disappointments.
I don't want to talk.
No, of course you don't, darling. And we understand you don't have to. Marie, believe me. This will all be in the dim past someday. You'll see.
New day.
you, Dave. It's supposed to be my wedding day.
Be sure to join us for the next episode of Days of Our Lives.